The Target Breach, 2013. Act 1. The Trojan Horse. For millions of Americans, the red bullseye of Target represented affordable style and a convenient shopping experience. It was a retail giant, a household name, deeply embedded in the fabric of consumer culture. But in the final, bustling weeks of 2013, a sinister shadow fell over those bright, gleaming stores. A silent digital war was being waged not in a distant battlefield, but within the very heart of Target's payment systems. This wasn't a random act of vandalism, it was a meticulously planned operation driven by the oldest motive in the book: money. The goal was simple yet audacious: steal millions of credit card numbers and sell them on the digital black market for vast sums of illicit cash. The story of the Target breach is not one of a direct frontal assault on the company's fortressed main servers. Instead, it's a chilling tale of infiltration, patience, and exploiting the weakest link in a chain of trust. The attackers, a sophisticated Eastern European cybercrime syndicate, understood a fundamental truth about modern enterprises: no company operates in isolation. They rely on a sprawling ecosystem of third-party vendors and contractors, and therein lay their opportunity. The initial breach occurred through Fazio Mechanical Services, a Pennsylvania-based HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contractor that serviced Target stores. Fazio, like many vendors, had legitimate access to Target's network to manage their heating and cooling systems remotely. On November 15, 2013, the attackers successfully phished an employee at Fazio Mechanical Services. A cleverly crafted email, likely posing as a legitimate communication, tricked the employee into revealing their network credentials. These weren't privileged administrator credentials for Target's core systems, but they were enough. They were the keys to a digital backdoor. Once inside, the hackers didn't immediately go for the registers. Their first objective was to establish a persistent foothold and map the network. This stage is often called reconnaissance and lateral movement. They systematically explored Target's vast network, searching for vulnerabilities, for pathways that would lead them closer to their ultimate prize, the point-of-sale systems. This wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon, carefully executed over weeks. The hackers understood that modern networks are segmented. Different departments have different levels of access. Their challenge was to move from the relatively low-privilege vendor network segment to the highly restricted payment card environment. They achieved this by exploiting known software vulnerabilities and configuration weaknesses, patiently escalating their privileges until they had administrative access to critical servers. These servers were not just any servers, they were the central nervous system for Target's thousands of POS terminals. The stage was set. Act 2. The Harvest of Data. By November 28, 2013, Thanksgiving Day, the attackers had successfully achieved their primary objective. They had successfully installed custom-designed memory scraping malware onto nearly all of Target's 1,797 U.S. stores. This wasn't off-the-shelf software, it was a highly sophisticated program, later dubbed Black Posts or Kaptocha, engineered specifically to bypass traditional antivirus systems. It was a digital ghost designed to operate in the shadows. The malware's modus operandi was deceptively simple yet devastatingly effective. When a customer swiped their magnetic stripe credit or debit card at a Target register, the card data, including the card number, expiration date, and CVV2 code, Track 2 data, would briefly reside unencrypted in the POS system's memory, RAM. This fleeting moment, before the data could be encrypted and sent to the payment processor, was the malware's window of opportunity. The memory scraper would silently snatch this sensitive information, collecting it from hundreds of thousands of transactions every hour, every day. It was a digital vacuum cleaner, sucking up financial data from unsuspecting holiday shoppers. But simply collecting the data wasn't enough. The hackers needed to get it out of Target's network without detection. This is where the data exfiltration phase began. The stolen card data was aggregated onto specific internal servers within Target's network, servers the hackers had previously compromised and configured as staging grounds. From these staging servers, the data was then systematically moved to external servers controlled by the criminals. This transfer often occurred in encrypted chunks designed to look like normal network traffic, making it incredibly difficult for Target's security systems to flag the activity. Adding insult to injury, it was later revealed that Target's own security systems had actually detected suspicious activity related to the malware installation. Security alerts generated by an advanced threat detection system were reportedly sent to Target's Security Operations Center in Bangalore, India. However, these alerts were either misinterpreted, ignored, or simply not acted upon in time. The alarms were blaring, but no one was listening. The data continued to flow out unchecked. The full scale of the heist became horrifically clear. Over a 2-week period from November 27, 2013 to December 15, 2013, the attackers stole payment card data from 40 million credit and debit cards. The number later expanded to 70 million customer records when personal information like names, mailing addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses were also found to have been compromised. The largest retail breach in history had just unfolded during the busiest shopping season of the year. Act 3. Fallout and Foresight. The first public tremors of the breach didn't come from Target itself, but from external sources. Banks, noticing an alarming spike in fraudulent charges traced back to Target customers, began to raise the alarm. On December 18, 2013, cybersecurity journalist Brian Krebs broke the news, confirming what many in the financial sector had feared. The next day, Target confirmed the devastating breach. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Target's brand reputation, built on trust and customer loyalty, was severely damaged. Customers panicked, banks scrambled to reissue millions of cards, and regulators launched investigations. The financial cost was staggering, over $200 million in direct breach-related expenses, including forensic investigations, legal fees, credit monitoring for affected customers, and hefty settlements with banks and payment card networks. The CEO, CIO, and other senior executives eventually resigned, bearing the brunt of the corporate failure. But beyond the immediate crisis, the Target breach served as a brutal, unforgettable lesson for the entire retail industry, and indeed any organization relying on third-party vendors. The only U.S. Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation conducted a thorough investigation, culminating in a detailed report that laid bare the kill chain of the attack, the step-by-step methodology used by the hackers. This report highlighted critical failures: vendor security. The initial compromise through Fazio Mechanical Services underscored the absolute necessity of robust security vetting and strict access controls for all third-party vendors. Network segmentation. The ability of the attackers to move from a relatively low-privilege vendor network segment to the highly restricted payment card environment exposed severe shortcomings in network segmentation. Alert response. The ignored security alerts were a stark reminder that even the most advanced security tools are useless without a competent and responsive security operations team. Payment security. The reliance on magnetic stripe technology was heavily criticized, accelerating the push for more secure EMV, EuroPay, MasterCard, and Visa chip and PIN cards in the U.S. In response, Target invested hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild its security infrastructure, accelerate its EMV rollout, and implement point-to-point encryption across its POS systems, ensuring that card data is encrypted the moment it's swiped. The 2013 Target breach wasn't just a hack, it was a watershed moment. It transformed how companies viewed cybersecurity, forcing them to confront the interconnectedness of their digital ecosystems and the critical importance of every single link in their supply chain. It proved that a simple stolen password, if wielded by patient and determined hands, could bring a corporate giant to its knees, costing millions and irrevocably changing the landscape of retail security forever.